Agenda? Oh.
Okay, folks, at 4 o'clock, we'll miss a moment, hopefully they'll show up shortly, but we will commence the meeting. So, thank you all for being here. Public comment, anybody? No? Good. Meg, nothing from you even?
No, I've had him at my beck and call for the last couple of weeks. He's a minefield of information.
Appreciate it, thank you. Judy Ross, I just called the meeting to order, and do you have any public comment?
No. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
Two of the minutes of last month.
I did read the minutes, they look fine to me, I make a motion for approval.
I'll second the motion, I'll be all in favor.
Aye.
We are. Any further discussion? If not, the motion passed 2-0. No.
Warrants total $21,727.65. Items to mention: U.S. Bank Court, $11,140.05, and Chief Carlton has the bill if you want details on that. Puget Sound, $1,066.56. Greer Grade, $1,900. Volunteer payouts in warrants total $4,320. Payroll totals $14,939.34. Chief Carlton's salary $41,66.67. Chief Shields has had his increase take effect January 1st. His pay is $4,667. There was one event for each commissioner and the secretary. The volunteer portion in the payroll is $7,649.67. And the total payout of volunteers is $11,169.67. We require a motion to approve the warrants and payroll.
Thank you, Suzanne, appreciate it. All your hard work. Stanley.
Just a second, you have Shannon Thompson. Okay, yeah, I have a question. Let's go ahead and talk about that U.S. Bank Corp for $11,140, Chief, if you would.
I need to point out in the credit card, we have $1,800 for Life Assist, and that is for medical supplies. We had $1,200 for Industrial Electric down in Bellingham. We had our inverter go out on engine 58, and we had to replace that. So that was a cost for apparatus. We had a cost of $2,800 and change to EMT and fire training. We currently have 2 members, one starting his basic EMT training. The other member is Christina Tersakian, who is now in her advanced EMT training schooling. So she'll be an intermediate, more likely by August. She'll have all the paperwork done and be state certified. So Christina Tersakian and Jeff Sadler. Jeff Sadler was one of our Canadian members. He stepped up to go through EMT training. And we're going through EMT fire training, which we've done for the last 2 courses, and that's out of Idaho. So they've been really good to us. We've had great success as well within our students. Another cost for Action Training is $2,100. Action Training is the program the district has in place for fire training, and this allows us, it's an online training program, has multiple different courses: fire officer, pumper, firefighter 1, firefighter 2. I've added seed and size up, hazmat as well, and then this is our final year payment within the contract. Since we were one of the first 3, I believe, organizations in the state of Washington to come on board with Action Training, they're based out of Washington. They actually gave us a break on one of our payments, which was totaling around $1,700. They didn't charge us for it. They wrote it off because we've been such good clients of theirs, and we've been able to help them market the product as well to other organizations, calling me to find out how we utilize it to benefit the educational programs we have in place. So anyway, that finishes off our payments. Next year, we will be going under contract again forward with them, but it's going to be a completely different type of pyramid or diagram. It's going to be much cheaper for the organization. So it's going to be a per user fee, which is probably going to decrease our cost for the overall contract by $6,000 to $7,000. So it'll be really, really nice, and we'll have access to everything we currently do. So just to let you know, on a monthly basis, quarterly basis, there are, and I can bring it up if you guys want me to on the screen to show you the fire training schedule, but each member is assigned, including myself, are assigned classes from action training, from King County EMS Online OTEP for EMTs and paramedics, that they have to complete. And we track those, and if they fall behind, we have meetings with the members, and then disciplinary action can take place if members fall behind or stop doing the training that is required of them. So these allow our people to probably be some of the most educated members of any organization in the region, I would say, when it comes down to knowledge, maintaining that knowledge on pumping, fire officer duties, firefighter 1 skill sets, firefighter 2 skill sets, EMT, and so forth.
Okay. All right, Smith?
Yeah, that's fine. I would make a motion to approve the warrants for $21,727.65. That we need written down. And then also second motion to approve the payroll of $14,939.34.
Second, or would Jeff, you were there, you want to do the second one?
I've absorbed it all. I'm sorry I was late.
That's all right.
I second the motion.
You second the motion. All in favor? Without exception. Motion passed. What do you do, Jacob? Thanks. Thank you, Suzanne. Appreciate it. Okay. Budget update. Is there anything that we would like to discuss on the budget as it stands now? Anybody from the public? Any comments on it? Anyone chance? No?
Anything about you mentioned the issue with the bills with the 2014 and
Yeah, that's good to ask about.
Yeah, we have a great plan to take the warrants from December and put them into 2014. So I called Chester, and Chester told me that he had to have them by January 20th in order to do that. So then January 20th came, and we got the reports online, and I didn't see any of those warrants on there, so I called him, and he apologized. He said that he had to have them by the 15th, not the 20th. So all of that went into 2015.
So in other words, nothing changed. I mean,
Nothing.
Story report.
we had great intentions,
Yeah.
and it just didn't work out this year.
Chester is new, and
Yeah.
so, he's a nice enough guy, but he's new. And he
So
made a
our goal,
mistake
though,
that-
is to try to show the true cost of doing business in the year that the invoices come in.
It's up to us to show it if we want it or not. It's not
Yeah.
up to them, it's up to us.
I could
As we
approve
explain it.
if you want.
And I think that we should eventually do it. I don't think we need their permission to do anything, as long as it's clear and concise.
No, it's not anything about permission. That has nothing to do with it. Okay, but if you want me to journal entry all those warrants into 2014 and reverse them in January, I can do that. It's 30 grand worth of warrants, so it's up to you.
How does it affect your budget workings?
Well, we've been talking about that, my budget is still,
It's still fine.
I'm still fine. So, my 2014 year budget that I had line item wise, I've met that.
That's not any different than it was the day that we decided to put everything, you know.
So my divisional totals, which were, I don't remember what my divisional totals were at the end, but I did not go over my entire budget for the year.
No, probably that.
So, yeah.
Also, the point, it's more or less the question is, do we want to let it slide and try again next year? Or do you want to change it?
Well, I think we should make a note, a suspense note, that we make it work next year.
Yeah, and again, it wasn't our problem. It was
Sure.
information from the county problem.
Let's make it work next year as long as it doesn't mess up what you're trying to do.
Yeah, no, everything's still well within budgetary range.
By that time, Chester will have a year behind us.
You will,
He might be. He will. Good.
you will, a little over a year.
All right, thanks. Anything else about regarding the budget, now to Chad? No? Correspondence, Chief, anything for the?
We actually got a thank you letter from a resident here. They have a home here in Point Roberts, and we ran a medical call at their home. And it's a thank you letter. Your thoughtfulness was appreciated. Thank you for your prompt and careful attendance on January 3rd. So it's from the patient that we responded to, who ended up having a dislocated shoulder and got transported down with our intercept of North Whatcom at Checkpoint Bravo, and they took him on down to St. Joseph's. So that was a thank you. They actually donated $100 as well to the district. The issue with the check was that it was written to North Whatcom Fire Rescue.
I never saw it.
So I called, I haven't put it through because she had me shred it. And she's writing another check that has Point Roberts Fire Department on it. Because I called her and talked to her and asked her if that was her intention. And she was kind of embarrassed and everything. Absolutely not. I wanted to go to your organization. And there was just a confusion, I think, because we transferred the patient at Checkpoint Bravo. So anyway, that is the, thank you.
Thank you. That's nice to get that. Okay. No correspondence, Chief's report, please.
So Chief's report for January 2015 and February. Point of information, have a few things. Roof replacements. As you see, we have a big container out there. They finished the upper half of the roof. I think they've completed or about ready to complete it today.
They're done.
So they completed the first floor, the tunnel that we had, including replacing some boards underneath the roof. And so everything's done. We're going to be getting an invoice for that. The initial estimate was $15,000 and some change, and we'll see where that comes in at. So I'm hoping that it stays around the same. But they did have to do some extra work because of some of the boards that they had to replace.
I wasn't here, but what was the cause of the depression in the roof?
I didn't,
Yeah, we don't know.
we don't know.
Yeah, I'll find that out, but they did not tell us that. They just said they were working with some damage in the back.
Nobody keep track of their time?
Well, no. When they arrive, when they leave, I don't know if the project was estimated particularly per hour. I think that's something that just comes from Not Baker, that this is the estimate for the project, regardless of how long it takes.
No, that's true, but they also had the extra hours they noted in their thing. I can't recall what it was per hour. $50 per man or something like that.
Okay, I'll definitely get a hold of them once I get the invoice and make sure that I understand it, to explain to the commissioners before it's paid, and if you have any questions. Station security, I met with Security Solutions down in Bellingham. They came up. I just met with ADT Security yesterday. We met for 2 hours as well, walked through the station, and it seems like their solutions would give us what we need, plus it's going to possibly be much cheaper. We wouldn't have a monthly fee either. We could monitor everything on site in regards to security, fob key access to doors, and the cameras necessary. necessary. But it looks like within a week I should get an estimate from them. And we can go no monthly fee, no monitoring, or we can monitor. But I'm happy with no monitoring because everything would be stored here on site in a secure location, and it would be recorded here as well. So that's a good option. Hopefully they'll come in thousands less than the initial bid from the previous. Radio and paging, so this might take a few minutes. The radio and paging setup, I had a impromptu meeting with Meg the other day at the cafe. She cornered me at the table with her husband.
You cornered me.
And we discussed the ongoing workability of our radio system, paging, and portable and mobile communication. I will tell you that I just received an email just minutes before this meeting from Whitby Telecom, and they're willing to work with us in a price range that is suitable for us, which I've stated to be in between $400 and $500 a month for access to their tower. So that would be around $4,800 to $6,000 a year, depending on what we decide or able to come to an agreement with tomorrow. And at that point, another discussion will need to happen today in new business with the commissioners, but we are good to go. We've been working, Curtis Moon, Northwest Communications, is the contractor with the county for the emergency radio system. So he works at all sites. He's the person that works with the DOD, law enforcement, and everywhere else. He has all the security clearances. So he's contracted with the county. He would be the individual obviously doing the work for us as well, and go from there. So he has access to everything and all the security. Anyway, under new business, we'll get to a discussion that we need to have about the funds. So what this will allow us, it'll get us above the trees. I climbed up the small water tower the other day with the help of John boosting me up to the ladder that's locked out to a certain degree, and climbed up to the top, almost fell off, and took pictures up there. And it's obviously not tall enough, it doesn't get us above the trees. So the problem that we're having is the signal being degraded, coming over the landscape and through the trees and not reaching our pagers. And our radios obviously having to take the same path back to Sumas, which is around 37-ish miles away. And that's the tower we're currently using to broadcast off and page off. So this would allow us to incorporate Fire 1 and Fire 2. So Fire 1 is the main paging channel for all of Whatcom County. Fire 1, every organization is paged off of Fire 1 from Prospect. Now there's Prospect, and this is what I was trying to explain to Meg the other day too. There's Prospect, which is EMS and Fire Dispatch Center. That's located at Station 1 down in Bellingham with Bellingham Fire. And then there's also Whatcom, and Whatcom is the Law Enforcement Dispatch Center. All 911 calls go to Whatcom, go into law enforcement. Doesn't matter how or where from you call 911, goes into Whatcom. They ask fire, medical, police, and then you tell them if it's medical or fire, they transfer you over to Prospect, and then they come up with their operator and go, what's your emergency? And then they classify fire or medical, and then they dispatch out. Our radio communication is off of Fire 2. So we communicate off of Fire 2, and there's a multitude of radio channels. So just to keep it simple, our channel, along with other agencies in the county that are designated to use Fire 2, utilize Fire 2 to communicate off our portables, our mobiles, or our base station radio here. Okay? So the equipment would be purchased. The majority of it would be able to be purchased through a state process that's already in place. But we would have Fire 1 and Fire 2 on Whitby Telecom's tower above tree line, so more likely probably around 150 to 180 feet. It's a 199, 200-foot tower. That would get us above the tree to have a straight line of sight by microwave back to DHS in Blaine, so the Department of Homeland Security, their main facility. We're working with them in order to be able to piggyback onto their established links already with Prospect, which is the EMS Fire Dispatch Center, to defer costs of having to add anything in Prospect to this organization. Costs associated with that would with the procurement of the equipment, we're looking at the $40,000 range. So that's the discussion that'll have to come up in new business.
Can I ask a quick question? Will you give us a straight line of sight to Department of Homeland Security's facility in Blaine? Is that where it would go from here?
Correct, in the Blaine area, wherever that facility may be, but
Okay.
it's in the Blaine area. And that microwave would make contact with their facility and then be directed through all the computer stuff that I do not understand to Prospect or through another wavelength. So Prospect would be able to hear us. And it's simultaneous, so there's no delay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What did you say about state and money and this stuff?
So there's no, the equipment, currently, some of the equipment would be able to be purchased through state bid process, which is already in
bid
place.
process, okay.
So we don't have to go, the bid is already there, so all you gotta do is say, hey, we want this equipment. We don't have to go out to bid, or Curtis would not have to go out to bid for that equipment. It's already available, so the time frame can really be sped up regarding getting this in place. And my hope is before the end of the quarter. That has always been my drive. That's what I've been telling Curtis the entire time, as well as Whitby. Whitby, I have to say, has been extremely thoughtful, nice on the phone. The cost started out outside of our means to secure space on that tower for rentable space per month. And expressed that concern and where we get our money from. They're used to dealing with county governments that have millions, or that are dealing with multiple agencies pooling their money into one ability, and then it becomes pennies for those organizations over the long term, where we're really based off a very small tax here, and they have, I think we've portrayed that understanding to them, and today it was successful, and Chris got the permission to meet the financial constraints that we have. So that's where we're at. This is what I've been hoping for, and that will give us that 99% first push to talk success at communication and paging. So before anything gets done, there's concerns that I would have definitely Curtis to come out here, get access to the Whitby Tower, climb up to the height of where our equipment would be placed, and make sure we have that clear line of sight to DHS. Now, DHS has to still give us permission, and that's the sheriff's office as well. If they don't give us permission, then we're looking at having to go a different option at that point. And that would be a line of sight probably back to Sumas, but we're hoping that we can use DHS because they already have the connections in place down in Prospect.
Okay, we're waiting for people's permission in essentially a quasi-emergency situation that we don't have radio coverage. Why must we wait?
Well, we have to wait for permission to utilize the connections in place. The procurement of funds, since it's over the $20,000 ceiling limit, is what you, as the commissioners, are going to discuss for that emergency procurement. So I can give Curtis the go-ahead to purchase the equipment. DHS, and the sheriff's office, he doesn't see an issue with them giving us permission to use their links down in Prospect, and hopefully at no cost. There could be a cost associated with that too. Sheriff's office may want to charge us, or DHS may want to charge us, $50 a month, $100 a month to utilize their connections in place. That is a positive because if we have to establish our own connections, then we're looking at 10,000, tens of thousands of dollars more in order to, or thousands of dollars more to establish those and to get those connections placed in dispatch, which would be Prospect.
Okay, and then you mentioned an initial cost of roughly $40,000.
That's what Curtis has given me today, and it's in the $40,000 range is what he projects as in equipment, wiring, time, and everything else. So it's really.
And there'll be obviously maintenance on this equipment. There's some projection on maintenance.
That would be an ongoing thing, probably a yearly thing, unless it completely went down, that it got hit with lightning or something like that, that our dish got hit. Then technically we need to look into putting that underneath insurance coverage, if that is possible, and to utilize our insurance company to protect that equipment that's on Whitby Tower.
Well, it's all positive news. It's just that
I was belated to, I was not belated, but I was very, very happy to get the news from Chris today that they were able to discuss amongst their leadership team and come to an agreement that we're different from the other emergency services that they deal with on a larger scale, and that we needed the help. And today it looks like they provided that help to us.
Well, it's just, if we can move ahead and not wait for regular scheduled meetings of the sheriff's department.
I think Curtis, I've been calling Curtis, I haven't been real nice. I'll just say it right now, I haven't been real nice. I had a great conversation with Curtis, let him know how important this was. During the conversation I had with Meg the other day, you know, it's not just an emergency now. It's been at that level for years. It's just that we haven't had any movement for whatever reasons. We haven't had any movement in regards to finding a true, real solution. The delay over the last few years has been, we've been waiting for 8th Street to go up to see if 8th Street was going to benefit us at all. That's only 15 miles away, and it doesn't benefit us at all. Where Sumas Mountain is at 3,000 feet, and because it's that high, that gives us the best coverage. So we're 37 miles away from Sumas, yet it gives us better coverage than 15 miles away. And then we were waiting for Lummi Island, obviously, to go up and get put in place and then do testing off of that. Neither one, in the delay, was waiting for all of that work to get done. 8th Street took over a year to get accomplished once they said it was going to go in. So we've had to wait, and I think that wait has been justified to some degree. We haven't had a failure of getting an emergency responder to the scene or en route. That it seems like a pager, at least one of our pagers, has activated in order to get us that direction. So we haven't failed this community in our response in any way. That being said, having this ability to have that 99 percentile to page will work, that the push to talk on the first push will work when we're in a law enforcement situation where we need law enforcement or a Mayday situation. Right now, I told Meg, our failure rate on our radio communication when we push our radio, definitely our portables, even with the repeaters that we have in our vehicles, it's probably a failure rate of 3 to 1, meaning that we have to try 3 times in order to get one message across to prospect. And I think every member's dealt with that difficulty. They don't hear us, they ask us to repeat, or half the message was unreadable to them. So having that tower here, we'll be broadcasting directly from the point back above the tree line.
But you mentioned that it's been a problem for a long time.
It's been a problem, I don't know. Meg told me that she's been writing articles for over a decade.
More than that.
Well, you know what? They met their match. This team that you're head of is going to solve it this time.
I hope so. And I think it's not an accomplishment. It's an accomplishment for the organization. And what I mean by that is the membership that I have working for this community to respond on an emergent basis to their calls for help, they need to have the confidence within the system that the system is not going to continue failing them. And the community also needs to have the confidence that the system, when they call 911, will be activated and will be notified, regardless of where we are. And I think that's what the compilation of all the work that we've been doing over the last few years has come to point now. And we're finally at that stage to where we have the players, we have their agreements, agreeing to help us. With exception, right now, DHS still has to give us that commissioner to the sheriff's office, but we see that as not being difficult. We see it as a positive. We should be able to move forwards in that. It's going to be a win-win for this department, district, and community at large.
It's great. So by next meeting, we should hear about the completed, virtually the end of the quarter in March.
That work should, if you approve the procurement, that I can move past the $20,000 ceiling level in new business. Then I can get Curtis on board with purchasing the equipment necessary and starting the work on Whidbey.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Amazing performance. You did very well. Your assistant has made, I know how difficult it was.
It's been difficult. Sorry, this is a long Chiefs report
Yeah.
this month. Our insurance company completed its initial site visit, so ES McNeil and Company came up and did a walkthrough with me. We spent probably 4 hours on site going through the station, answering all their questions as well. And we got a report back, which is right here and available for the commissioners to view at their time frame. We didn't have any critical corrections that we needed to make. All of their things that they had pointed out are just recommendations to try to make us even more solid than we already are. It was a very good review from them. We got good comments from the person who came up and did the walkthrough with us, comparing us to other organizations that are nowhere near the level we are when it comes to the infrastructure that we have in place. And to give you an example, we didn't have carbon monoxide detectors inside the station because we don't have anything that is gas. So we don't have a gas stove, we have electric water heater, we don't have anything that really produces it. What does is our engines, but we have them hooked up to exhaust. And so just for style points, we bought 2 carbon monoxide detectors, one's in the main office and one is upstairs. So if there, for whatever reason, there is carbon monoxide that builds up, that our membership or whoever the public will be alerted to that in that area of the station. So that's just one example of what they recommended. Simple fixes, things, I've already done probably 5 of the things that they've recommended. I have that in place or are working on them at the current process. So just to let you know, it went really well. I'd like to do that.
Yeah, Chief.
Apparatus, really, I have nothing to report on apparatus. Still have 44 members, 31 Canadians, 7 Fort Roberts, and 3 county. Amongst that, we have 3 ambassadors, 36 firefighters, 15 EMTs, which 4 are advanced EMTs, and 4 paramedics. Volunteer hours, 2,657. Volunteer payroll, all we're getting paid, 13,532. Combined chief hours, I worked 140.5. Chief Shields worked 152, combining to 292.5 hours for the chief officers in the month of January. We had 11 calls. We had 7 EMS calls, which 4 were no transports. 1 went to Whatcom Medic 1, and 2 went to North Whatcom Fire Rescue for intercept transports. Fire classifications, we had 4. We had 1 structure fire, 2 smoke investigations, 1 false alarm. Speaking of the structure fire, that was the big house. The structure fire was a heat alarm going off in a residential structure. And we arrived to find a very hot door to one of the upstairs. We actually had to break entry into the structure. Chief Shields climbed the wall, went through, set off the burglary alarm. Sheriff showed up, said, "Oh yeah, we're here because we have to be here, we got a call." Made access, he opened up the front door, made access into the upstairs, and found this very, very hot door. I mean, it was very hot to touch, you couldn't even leave your hand on it. So we got a thermal imaging camera out. It showed about 150 degrees on the door, and we ended up having to force entry into that door. And what it ended up being was a records room with the wall heater that had malfunctioned, and it was constantly going up high. So the room was basically about 150 degrees in this room, very hot, and we opened up all the windows. We disconnected the control for the wall heater and made sure that it was safe, and we locked the door back up and left the premises. But the sheriff's officer was there to watch us break into the home and give us permission to do that and lock up and leave. We were able to contact the brother-in-law of the owner, and they were very appreciative of our efforts, and we have talked to them about possibly getting a Knox box, which is used in the fire service and security solutions aspects, to where a Knox box could be placed and drilled into one of their outside walls and secured, that would have all access keys into that property. So if it happens again, we would not have to damage by forcing entry. Now if there's active fire, we enjoy that type of stuff, so we're going to break everything possible. But without active fire, just having a hot, don't write that down. So,
I'm thinking of headlines, man. I'm thinking fire chief goes Rambo on door, stuff like that.
We do our best to cause minimal damage if we have to force entry.
And one
they
day-
don't have access keys.
And one of the disadvantages of this house is they have steel roll-up shutters on all the doors and windows.
And you went swinging through, didn't you?
No, I had to climb over put a ladder up on the wall and climb over top of the wall because we couldn't get through the,
See, you had fun.
right.
But we did, it was a good
Yeah.
call for us.
Yep.
So that was the structure. That completes my fire chief's report.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions? You did well with your hours, that's good.
The relationship is still going strong. So
Didn't want to miss that part.
share that with everybody.
I did have a question. I was wondering, on the chief's report, I didn't hear anything about Saturday.
What was Saturday?
What would be the plan for Saturday?
I don't know. What is
Well,
this Saturday?
Huh?
This Saturday,
Yeah, February 14th.
that's Valentine's Day.
Oh, Valentine's Day. My personal plans for Valentine's Day.
We don't get to know
With
until
my
the next
significant
chief's
other?
report when we look at the hours.
With my significant other. The bad news is I have to celebrate it on Friday because I work Saturday.
Oh.
So I'm on shift down south on Saturday. So I already bought her a teddy bear.
You did what?
What? Teddy bear.
That's good.
Teddy bear. What? That's wrong.
Yes.
So I'm getting thumbs up from some people.
No.
No, that's
Can you bring
down.
the teddy bear?
I'm getting other stuff too.
Teddy bears no.
So, but anyway, okay. That ends the conversation on the relationship for this meeting. It's going well.
We still haven't seen it on the agenda though.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about? Chief?
No. That's it.
No, you don't. Okay. Appreciate it, thank you. Unfinished business. We talked about the roof, it's done, good. New business. Talk about the new secretary. Yes, we do have a new secretary, I guess. With the youth, welcome.
Would you like to say hi to everybody on YouTube, Linda?
Hi, everybody. I'm very glad to be here as your new secretary. Thank you.
The chief has prepared a job description for you, which we will be more than glad to give to you.
Yep.
I received it.
Sign it, and we'll sign it and all that care.
I wish Michelle all the best in her retirement.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Michelle.
thank you.
Yeah, Michelle, you've been wonderful, sometimes it's been a little testy.
You don't mess with it.
But you did very well, and on behalf of everybody, thank you. We have a card for you here. I think there's something else to.
Yeah, we have a basket to give you, and it's to show our appreciation for the amount of years that you've put into this organization. And I wish we could do more for you, but you're going to be very missed because you've been a staple within the organization. I know Linda's going to take over your position and run with it and do a great job as well. But I don't want you to ever feel that this organization did not appreciate all the time that you dedicated to us. So thank you very much.
Thank you. We have enjoyed it.
Making sure there's not a code before it. So give me.
I think we've covered you completely, and nothing we have to tell you, it's all there on paper. If you have any questions, I think your first contact will be the chief. After that, you can talk to us individually.
Thank you.
Anytime you like. Chief, did you want to talk about the hospital contract?
Sure.
Or you want to talk about the emergency appropriation?
Let's do hospital contract first.
All right.
Hospital contract, district contract is something we've been talking about for a couple months now. The contract was redone by our legal counsel, Brian Stern, and sent back to me. Commissioner Riffle has generously provided the drawings for the schematic of the clinic as well. We've been going back and forth on that a little bit. Something that has happened in the past, which is at no fault of really anyone, it's just been an oversight, And the rent, well, I guess square footage was based off the west wall being 50 feet. And no one's caught it for really years. And again, no one's real fault, it's just been a small little oversight for the calculation. Well, we remeasured this year and it's actually a 60-foot wall. So that, plus the new office that Natalia received last year by splitting this room here, was 100 square feet of space, and it's brought the total square footage to 1,380 for the clinic. That, by current standards, which is $11.56 per square foot, would put the rent at $15,900 and change. That is about a $2,000 increase over what it's been in the years past for that amount of space. I did have the ability to converse with Elaine from the hospital district, and they were not expecting that type of increase. And again, it's been because of our, or mine, or who's, you know, it's not really a pinpoint of who, but the mathematical ability to calculate that wall correctly. So they have budgeted $14,500 for rent for 2015. So this puts us at a dilemma. The $15,900 is not with CPI included. I spoke with our legal counsel today, and there is no legal statute in place that requires the district to place any type of fair market value on that rentable space, or to even have to take CPI for that space as well. So the commissioners, the discussion that we need to have, you as commissioners, is how we help the clinic, which is a staple of this community. They've been great tenants over the years. The contract as well has increased from being a 3-year contract to a 5-year contract with, I believe, 1 or 2 5-year renewals in place for one. Total of 10 years before another contract would be drawn up. But to assist the clinic that basically has around a $200,000 hospital district budget, not to have an increase of over $2,000 in which they weren't expecting. So this comes down to, the square feet is what the square feet is, 1,380 square feet. The discussion probably needs to be on how much we're going to be charging per square foot in order to get it to a more reasonable level for the clinic. And then also to discuss whether it'll be a flat fee and not do a CPI within the contract, or if from this year forwards it'll be a flat fee plus CPI, which has been done in the past. So I open it up to discussion as the commissioner.
Jeff, what do you think?
Does the present lease deal in the units of square footage?
It does, but they've been calculated incorrectly in the past. So what we did, which was, I believe, what we needed to do as a district, was to equally equate the square footage that they have. But that has really increased the rent. And it's from our side that was actually an oversight. They read it too, so it was an oversight, but it's not pointing fingers. It's just, it hasn't been calculated correctly in the past.
And we can't go back?
No, we can't, Jeff. Calculating square footage is primarily the responsibility of the landlord. The tenant usually follows up or should follow up for their own protection. We haven't done our job, they haven't done their job. It's a wash. Like the chief said, it's a great organization, and next door is a great tenant. I'll be the last one to say that we should take it to the cleaners, but I want to do it.
And the commissioners could, realistically, the commissioners could charge $1 a square foot if they wanted. Anywhere from anything that you would come up with, $1 a square foot, whatever you would think would be reasonable. We did some mathematical calculations. Again, it's at $11.56 per square foot now. I think if we went down to get it down to $14.5, which they budgeted for this year, to get it down close to that would be to drop the square footage mark to $10.45.
What is it now, 11.60?
$11.56, $11.56.
Drop
So-
to sorry?
$10.45, which would equate to a rent of $14,421.
That seems, I'm sorry, go ahead. Well, I think it's a good time that we establish the actual factual square footage.
Yes.
And we have this time, by measurement. That's math, we can't fudge that.
Correct.
We can fudge the square footage, fudge it or agree on
The
it.
cost per.
Right, and it's only fair, whatever we expected from them in rent, we'll just use the new square footage, and by division, we come up with, you say 10,
1045 gets them to 14,421.
Yeah, 1045 is right there where they would like to be.
if they're happy with that, I should think we'd be happy with it, and we know that we're correct mathematically. They're getting what they want, we're getting, it's good negotiation, it's done. What?
What would you like to say, Commissioner?
I understand the discussion of the last 10 or 15 minutes, but we still have laying out there, which I think we have to at least acknowledge, the fact that this is an opportunity to bring things up, but maybe not to bring things up just to hit a number that the clinic wanted to hit. And
What are you thinking, Jeff?
well, actually, I'm thinking of non-monetary adjustments. We have a 3-year contract now,
No, yeah.
It expires in May.
and what's the term, how many years?
So the new would be 5-year term.
There's 2 5-year terms.
Yeah, I'm thinking that one way to deal with it, getting something back, is to reduce the term to 3 years. And to have a statutory rent of X, Y, and Z every 3 years.
So you want to turn the clock back to what we used to have?
No,
We used to have 3 years and 3 years and 3 years, total of 9.
I'll tell you that they had their meeting,
Yeah.
and the board did agree to the 5-year. So because I told them that it changed to 5 years. So they were able to discuss that at their last meeting, which they.
The 5 years is easier and much more done than real estate.
what's the formula at the end of 1 year?
In regards to what?
Rent.
It would just stay static.
So what's the purpose of having a 5-year,
That's the term, that's when we can say goodbye or they can say goodbye.
every 5 years?
Every 5 years.
Yeah.
That's when you terminate or assimilate. Back to that.
What do you think about the idea of going back to a 3-year rent?
Personally, I don't like 3 years. Personally, almost 5 years are easier to work with. They stick better in your mind. 3 years kind of sneaks up on you, like this one did. 5 years is much more common in real estate.
That's true.
It's easier for us to do.
So it would come up in 2020. The renewal or the extension, the automatic renewal would be looked at in 2020.
What happens to the rate, the monthly rent?
So right now, you as a commissioner panel have the decision to keep the rent static at whatever rate per square footage that you choose, and not requiring the CPI to be added to that. Or pick whatever rate you choose, and then have a CPI added each year for the next 5 until the renewal. So
If you went backwards and looked at the discretion between what was billed and collected and what was uncollected because of the measurement, how much are we talking about? What are we giving up?
I don't believe we're getting up anything, we're actually gaining within the rent that has been figured for them in the past. Our rent is increasing with this new contract because of the new square footage and what they stated that they budgeted. So even with CPI, I don't know, have we ever, in your memory, gone over 14.5?
No.
No, it's been in the 13,000.
We only started,
We started that
the
alone.
CPI probably 5 years ago.
From my memory, last year, it was around $13,000 was the cost of their
Yeah,
rent,
this will be.
Well, we added on Melanie's office, okay?
which they had to
100
pay in
square feet.
addition to.
Yeah, so that was another $111.56 added to there once her office became complete. So that, we did bill for that.
Right. So
So,
I think in the end, it probably reached between 14 and 14.5 was what they paid for rent
I
last
think
year.
it was 14,441.
Yeah, so right at 14.5, which they budgeted for this year.
Some things I remember.
It is understood that just because they budgeted 14.5, that is not the number we necessarily need to bring the rent down to.
No, I can see that easily too. They paid less than 14.5 last year. They are probably looking at a CPI of 1.8 or thereabout. Any child can do the math, it comes close to 14.5. Okay, if you want to hear my input on this.
Absolutely.
I'd go along with $10.45 a food. Brings it to a total of 14,421.00, which is right under 14.5 for them. Helps them out a little bit. We're a good landlord and a good tenant. That's it. And we'll talk again next year.
What we need to have in the contract, because I'll have to change the contract during this meeting in order for it to be approved and signed before this meeting is adjourned. That will take just a couple minutes to change this line. But do you want to have a CPI in the contract for if they get charged 14, let's just round up, 14.5 this year, then is there CPI added in the years to come to that? So
Let's make that up to discussion of this organization. I think that's fair.
So in the contract, I would have CPI may or may not be added at the discretion of the Board of
I think that's
Commissioners
fair.
On an annual basis.
on an annual basis.
You know, if you do it, we do it. You don't, we don't.
So what happens is you would sign this contract today, it needs a notary public, stamp and everything, the secretary has to sign it, the current secretary has to sign it, you'll be secretary of the next meeting, but you would have to sign it. And then it will go to the hospital district for their meeting in March to approve in order to say yea or nay, and then to disperse payment of that rent as advised.
Well, as a matter of...
You also have a choice to say 1045 is the square foot cost for the next 5 years, and it'll never change. So the 14,421 or whatever it is their rent for the next 5 years. And there's no increase, decrease, it's just across the board.
Chief, that's not a good idea.
Well, I just had to let you know that option.
I don't think we don't have that pleasure or dealing with public money here.
That's correct.
And there are expenses that are going to increase that we have to worry about in the facilities maintenance of a building, roofing being one.
So before we adjourn, can we take a recess so I can go do that real quick?
Yeah.
Make that change and come back?
Actually, and I'm going to request that you give that sign contract to Elaine as quickly as possible, and they call a meeting and approve it, because we can't have it approved at that meeting and it be on my warrants for that month.
Okay.
It's got to be done before.
All right, I can do that.
Okay.
I can call her, hopefully deliver that to her on Friday, if it gets approved by this commissioner panel today.
Okay, yeah, she works during the day, so.
Okay.
Well, as a matter of discussion, I agree with the 1045 per square foot. We're seeing an increase. If they were a profit-making organization, I would think totally different dealing with the public money.
Yeah.
They are not, and we need to help them. It's a team effort that goes on here with the use of the building.
Let's look at it this way, guys, you know, we'll do them a little favor, we get a favor back one day.
What goes when it comes around?
I did some checking it out, that $10 is about going rate per square foot. So, it's not a lot of money at all.
And that's the rate per
Per month.
Per month, per account.
Make it 12,000 feet. In this case, a little more than 12,000 feet. But 1045, is that all right with everybody, yeah? 1045. And annual rent of 14,421.
That's,
And we'll look at it again next year, as we always do every year. 5-year term, with a 5-year. David, you?
Yep.
All right.
So this year, rent will be 14,421. Next year, we start adding the CPI.
We may.
We have to choice.
If we need, okay, so I'll have to.
Have you said you got them, you want to recess?
Uh,
Do that, or you want to talk about that?
Maybe we should take the title, the term CPI off the table.
Oh, you don't
Not
want
refer
It's
to,
the index fund.
to?
since we already know what we're gonna make the CPI, and it's just gonna be a fixed number.
No, it's not.
It changes every
It
year.
changes every year.
Yeah.
There's
Well, this year's
no
1.8.
calculation. Remember, there's no calculation.
No,
It
it's
changes every year based on how.
the Seattle Tacoma index.
Right, but that's not part of the lease.
It is, it has always been.
it's right in the lease that you received.
Yeah. Historically, it's been in the lease.
But the way he's going to write it up, Jeff, is that we will, it's up to us to entertain that option. Or not.
Within the contract, it states the rent can't be less than the previous year. It states that in the contract. So if it held steady, if you guys decided not to take the CPI, then it would maintain 14,421, which is not less than the previous year. So then that's going to be this man's choice.
Okay, let's leave it at that then.
Okay.
We will figure it out. You want to talk about the emergency appropriation?
Yeah, do that now, and then we'll take it, and we'll come
And then
back.
then you can take your.
If that's okay with everybody.
Okay, sure. All right.
So item, under new business, H.3.
On your agenda. 8.3, just right.
So due to being able to move forward, to due to the news that I received today with confirmation that they are going to work within our financial means, I will need to ask this panel for the ability to go into an emergency procurement status for the communications radio equipment items or items to place on Whidbey Telecom. And I stated earlier in this meeting, the projection is it's going to be around the $40,000 mark, and this would obviously be a capital expenditure. As you all know, the procurement ceiling level by law is $20,000, and this is in a position where I have to ask for the ability to go beyond that in emergency procurement.
At this time, you don't know how high you have to go.
Just now.
Yeah. Did he do this? He said, you know his number, but it's on his, it's on.
Well, I received, during the meeting, there was a call received from Whidbey, so would it be okay if we took a short recess to make that call, so I don't make a wrong decision here in regards to the information I'm giving you?
At 5 o'clock, take a 10-minute recess. How's that?
Okay, during the recess, I was able to get a hold of Whidbey Telecom and confirm with them the email that I received. Their confirmation is at $400 a month for us in order to utilize the space under contract with them. He will be restructuring the contract, and I should have a contract hopefully by the end of the week or early next week from Whidbey to review. And the term of that contract, due to the cost or things in the future, it may be decreased to 3-year term with a 3-year renewal. But currently, I believe it is a 5-year with a 5-year renewal. So the best thing is that he confirms that Whidbey is willing to meet and assist us in our financial capabilities to improve emergency services for this community.
That's very good.
So I changed this contract, and I'll read you the language. So in the rent, I changed it to read, leasee shall annually pay to the leaser in U.S. funds the sum of $14,421, and then that's also presented in parentheses, equating to $10.45 per square foot. So that's what the lease. Now going to the rent adjustments, this is what I stated in the adjustments. The rent may be adjusted at the discretion of the Board of Fire Commissioners each May 1st while this lease is in effect by the 12-month change reported February of the year of adjustment to the Consumer Price Index for all urban consumers in the Seattle-Tacoma Bremerton area. So it gives the discretion as it may be adjusted by the commissioners, but you also have the choice of not to adjust.
Okay, say that, read that again. So you're gonna give them notice of a CPI for May 1st rent increase?
It would need to be each May, so it would need to be given to them in April.
Effective each May, but
It's
you need to
effective.
give them notice, of course, give them 60 days.
It doesn't
That's not
say-
enough time.
It doesn't say when the payment would be required. It just says that it would, if we add CPI and we deliver the payment to them for their May meeting, then they could acquire payment in June.
Okay, because there was always a penalty clause. Is that gone?
I don't believe so. Have we enacted that penalty in the past?
Yeah, once.
Once?
Hello.
Well, the rent may be adjusted at the discretion of the Board of Commissioners each May 1st. So that means that the rent would be adjusted in May.
Okay, I understand that, but they need notice of that.
Effective or each May 1st. So in the May meeting, we would adjust the rent. Therefore, they would be notified in May.
And so that payment would be separate from their regular rent payment? Is that what you mean?
So the late charges, all rental payments plus any other fees assessed or other amounts owing hereunder collectively hereto as rent, are to be made annually in advance on or before the anniversary of the commencement date.
That's right, which is, drop dead date is April 30th. The money has to be into the fire district.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So
like,
should I change May 1st to state March
yeah.
1st?
If it's easy for them.
I think what needs to be defined is that if you're gonna add CPI to it, all right, and you wanna come to that decision in April, that payment of that amount of dollars, $300, let's say, whatever it is, all right, doesn't have to be paid by April 30th. It can be paid following your decision and the notice to give them CPI. Do you
I think
understand what
CPI
I'm
is
saying?
separate.
Pardon?
I think the CPI payment is separate than their base rent is how I read it.
Okay.
Meaning that we enact their base rent, and then the commissioners have a choice
Yeah.
at the May meeting to,
Or before.
Give them
they-
another
or in April, to
separate
give them a
bill.
separate bill.
But
which
that's
is-
not gonna be.
That's not gonna be
April.
late charged,
Okay.
yeah.
All
So their main rent is due by April 30th or whatever.
Yeah,
But the CPI would not put them into a late charge payment.
okay.
No, it's
That's good, yeah. I just want to make sure that
Because
that's understood.
the way that this is the same as all the other contracts have been, and it's always been May 1st, so we don't have, we've always put them into a late payment proceeding. It's always been May 1st, which it has been in the previous contracts. Therefore, it has to be considered separate. The CPI payment.
Well, the CPI was, it was before, it was part and parcel of their.
Yeah, this would have to place it, so they wouldn't be placed in a late charge as a separate payment to the district.
Suzanne, if it makes it easier, you want to explain to them, whenever you see it, that we can clean up our act a little bit here too by making an earlier decision. The CPI is available for public knowledge
Yeah,
right after January 1st.
that penalty that they
We
had,
don't want to give them penalties.
$450, like mortified.
Anyhow, we can easily, every year in January, have a short discussion about it, and then we shall.
Yeah, we will do our due diligence, I believe, to make sure we don't put that at our cause into a late payment
Let's make sure you tell us.
situation.
I will.
So that's the only change that were made, if everybody is okay with that language.
You right?
I'm happy.
Happy to?
May distinguishes, the word may is that it's your option.
Yeah,
So it used to say
that's
shall,
perfect. No, that's good.
but it says may.
I think that's really nice. Okay, let's leave it at that.
Okay.
Um,
So this will have to be signed and notarized by all three commissioners this evening.
Is there a notary public here?
I'm not.
Are you a notary? Okay, so it can be signed by,
Then you need those
I'm
papers.
not a notary.
I thought you were a notary.
No.
I thought she was a notary. Are you a notary, Meg?
No, I'm not a notary.
Fine.
Why does it have to be notarized?
I don't know, it's been always been on there.
Hello?
Huh?
It's always been on there, I don't believe it.
It's always been notarized?
Yeah.
Or has it always just been?
Notary public.
No, we've never questioned it, let's say that.
Okay, because we have a seal, you know.
Yes, it's print name notary public.
Seal too, but it's not notary.
Well, then we sign it,
Yeah, our commissioners.
So let me ask you this, do you want this contract, in case there are changes that the clinic hospital district would like to have, to go unsigned to them as an official document that has been approved by this commissioner panel, and then as long as they approve it, therefore that would mean at a later date or next month's meeting, this would need to be notarized?
We can make this all tomorrow, okay? We'll go to the bank tomorrow and have Vicky or...
It doesn't need to have a special meeting or anything for you guys to go to the bank together and notarize this. That's,
If you give it to
What are
me,
you gonna do, put it over at Umpqua Bank and then we just go in there and sign it?
yeah, I would leave this with Assistant Chief Shields in order for that to be done tomorrow afternoon.
And they can,
You can just leave it in Jane's office over there.
yeah, because they can go separately, so there's no problem.
Why do you think that a notary is supposed to
Because the document requires it.
Because Brian Snur did it this year.
also, it's a legal document, it can be,
That's right.
what do you call it?
Challenge.
Filed with the county,
Yeah.
and those documents have to be...
So I think that's fine, leave it at the bank, and then they can go in and sign it, and then once it's signed,
That's not a meeting, so it's not going against public meetings. It's just your signatures which have been approved.
then just give
today.
it to Elaine, and she can bring it to their meeting in March.
Because there's no district business being discussed tonight. All they're doing is providing the signature on the document which was discussed.
In
today.
addition, they can go in separately, other districts.
It's okay, but let's go in separately.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'll put this
sounds good.
in a folder, and then Chief Shields will, do you guys want to set a time?
You're leaving tomorrow, is that correct?
correct
What time are you leaving?
for the bank?
That's okay, 2 hours if they can sign too.
We'll just have two of us, then that'll be okay.
Okay.
I'll make a point go tomorrow, you'll make a point go.
No coffee
No,
until-
it wasn't notary.
Yeah,
That's
Because
right.
I guess it's the seal that I've seen you place on stuff that I thought you had notary power. My apologies, I apologize.
Chief, can you speed this up a little bit? This is, you're gonna take care of that by,
You want to get done with the meeting?
Chief Shields over there.
Okay, Chief Shields?
So what time, Chief Shields, will that be at the bank? 9
That'll get the bank before noon.
Before?
Yeah. I'll have it there before 9.
So,
I'll have it there
say
before
1
the
o'clock, you could go to the bank and sign the document.
After coffee, then.
Yeah, after coffee.
We'll close this subject.
So to report what the meeting was, did I report that? Phone call that I had.
Yeah,
5 years.
Okay, so that was confirmed, so that's great.
5-year term, 5-year renewal.
They're looking, right now it's 5-year. They may shorten that just because of the monetary issue, in case major changes happen where they have to reconfigure.
Okay. let's
So
get
I'm
to
hoping they keep
procurement.
it at 5.
Yeah.
The emergency procurement,
Yeah,
I need to have permission if the commissioners feel this is necessary for the community. I need permission to go beyond the 20,000 seat limit.
That's fine. Anybody over you two guys want to make a motion to that effect?
I would be happy to make a motion.
Okay, you want to put the ceiling on it?
Well, it's $40,000-ish, so the ceiling that
I was going to say that no more than 50,000.
I was going to
I would
say,
agree with that. I was going to say that as well, so.
and to get back to us individually, if it is, so we can call a special meeting. Let's not wait till next month.
I agree.
And we can, special meeting, Jeff's going to be out of town now for a month.
I come back the day of the next meeting, so.
Okay.
He can also be at the meeting by phone. We have that
That's
capability, so if you want to be here by phone while you're out of town, if we have to call a special meeting because the ceiling goes over 50,000, which is stated this to be a reporting back monetary value, then we can get you on the phone if you want to be part of that meeting.
Do you have Jeff's phone number to do that? Do you have all that?
Cell number?
Yeah.
I don't have a cell number for him.
I'm not bringing this up.
Oh.
I'm out of touch.
Okay, you're out of touch. We'll stay in touch.
Yep.
We'll be okay. All right?
Yeah, you're trying to get fancy.
Okay, so I'm making a motion.
More stories.
Not yet, no. I am making a motion, I'm in the process of making a motion to approve the emergency expenditure for the new equipment for Woodby Tower, not to exceed $50,000.
Thank you. And that's an emergency procurement.
I think that the resolution should call for a date specific.
We'll call this a motion.
Let's,
Date specific.
Well, we're exercising our right to approve expenditures over a certain amount
That's correct.
for a specific item.
for a specific item. If 4 or 5 months from now, no action has been taken, it makes common sense that your emergency is over.
Well, but that, that's why we're doing it, so that you can take action.
And I'll tell you that I have
No,
no
I
control.
understand, I just want to make sure that,
Yeah, my control is very limited to how fast Washington State Patrol, the Sheriff's Office, or Department of Homeland Security moves on this matter. So that could put us at great risk if they cannot come or we cannot come to terms with DHS, State Patrol, Sheriff, whoever that connection needs to be made with. If they're slow on their end, because if you haven't heard the news, Department of Homeland Security is at risk of shutting down again. And if they don't have an operational budget right now, so it'll be the same situation as in 2013. They'll shut down all non-essential operations, which would be the discussion to acquire a contract with them to utilize their site. So if that happens, that could delay this for months.
it could, and you've just written the paragraph in the minutes that I'm looking for.
So I would need to come back, what you're asking, so July, I'm just putting that out there right now, July, if this has not been used by July, I would need to come back to this commissioner panel and allow them the decision to continue the emergency procurement due to the delays that this district cannot control.
That's too much verbiage, but you get the general idea, and I'll include that in the motion.
I appreciate your concern, Jeff. However, why don't we add to this motion with a further update from the chief no later than August? That means we can keep going. Updates are basically an update. You can tell us how much you spent, you can tell us if you fall on the ladder yet, and whatever. But it gives you no time limit. And I don't think you should have a time limit.
Well, what I'm concerned with is that I don't have control of the other
That's right.
bureaucratic organizations that I'm trying to deal with, that we're trying to make those contracts with. And they're governmental agencies. And everyone here understands the problem of the red tape that can be involved, especially when I'm looking at trying to tap into or piggybacking on a Border Patrol or Homeland Security connection.
Okay? Are we in agreement on that? He shouldn't need it. He doesn't want a deadline. That's unfair to him.
He has no control, can't have a deadline because there's no control. Okay.
I have control for, once we start work on this tower, I have control with Curtis, but we have no control to make those connections with DHS, Washington State Patrol, or the Sheriff's Department.
Can I ask, are you saying then that you wouldn't move forward with the physical improvements to the tower until those
No.
agreements are in place?
We
Or will you
would
move forward with the
continue
physical
here,
improvements
but
now?
yeah, we would start here, but the equipment may change if we don't get that agreement with
Got
DHS,
it.
State Patrol, or Sheriff. That the equipment and the connections needing to be done will have to be different than what we're planning on by assuming we're going to get the agreements with DHS.
Okay.
God, stay on top of it.
Satisfied with this?
I'm getting there.
All right.
I'd like to.
I appreciate this discussion.
What if we,
No, it's a good discussion, and it's on tape, and that's important. The other thing to point out is, and it should be on the tape, we do not have to go to bid for this.
That's
equipment.
correct. That's why we have the emergency procurement.
That supersedes that.
It supersedes the bid process.
And we also have, a majority of the equipment is coming out of Washington's, where they've already bid this.
It's already been, it already has been. bid
What's that
on.
called? Whatever.
I want to say,
They've already done it.
I would be speaking out if I tried, I want to say WISCA, but I think that's wrong.
What you saying?
WISCA. I think that's wrong.
It's a state procurement agency that's already gone
The
out.
state of Washington has already bid on it,
Yeah.
and we can piggyback on
It's
those
the
bids.
same way we bought the Chevy Tahoe.
That's
was
correct.
from them. So,
That's correct.
and that's on tape. That's important. I think
Okay.
the public knows about that. So we're not just.
Commissioner, what would you like?
a sentence in the procurement paragraph that states that the board anticipates being able to implement this change as soon as possible, but understands that ultimately the decision to be able to move forward hinges on our partners getting their act together.
It's a great idea.
And therefore, if anyone comes back and says, hey, look, you told me this was an emergency,
Correct.
but you didn't do anything for 10 months.
Correct.
And this, we just take that to minutes and we say, we know that.
I like your wording. Thank you very much, and I appreciate that.
Okay. The big question is, did our secretary get the wording?
Good.
Okay.
That was your motion, Mr. Witt?
That's the motion, let's vote on it.
You want to vote on it? You want to second that? Or you want me to second it?
I'll say.
All right. All in favor?
Aye. Are we ready
We
to?
have a motion for adjournment.
I'll have to make a
What is it? You know, America's Got Talent on or something like that?
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
And thank you, everybody.
So, Michelle,
Thank you.
Well, they go from here back up here.
That's right.
I've got the PK.
What else he's going to Las Vegas?
What's,
All the money? You got it? Okay.
because it goes from one place to another.
I've got it.
I'm sorry, Michelle.
if any of you want to read this report, I'll put it on top of your mailboxes. And then as you come in, if you want to read it.
Well, then I'll come by for the copy of my mailbox tomorrow.
So tell them what to do with that. They'll do a job.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, I made it.
Welcome, Linda.
That's an A-S-P.
Yeah.
Pending.
Linda.
Mhm.
Well,